Looks like this one's already done. This one's already been chopped. So let's take our polygon tool and trace one of the shapes. I'm going to trace the one here on bottom. Trace over it. Right, so I did that. And basically this original shape is already chopped into two congruent shapes, and it looks like this to me, guys. It looks like if I just rotate this, right, if I rotate it left, I could get it to map directly onto this one. So it's going to be, let me go to transform this shape. Again, it looks like it should be a rotation. If I remember correctly, the center of rotation is this point right here. So if I click on that point as my center of rotation, one more thing is when I want it to go to the left, it does need to be negative 90 degrees here. So I'm going to rotate it negative 90 degrees. What am I rotating? This polygon. So I'm going to click on it and apply the rotation. And you see it maps directly, perfectly onto the other one. So that was, again, let me also restate the premise of this assignment. It's you have an original figure, you chop that original figure into what you think is two congruent figures, and then you map one onto the other to prove that they indeed are congruent. So there's that one. And then I have task C here. Task C, let me see if I remember. I believe task C was just a matter of, it's already started for us. I believe it was just a matter of adding in another segment. I believe just like this, if I'm not mistaken. So this is the original figure with one of the segments you need drawn in, and I believe the other segment is just drawn to here diagonally. If you draw that in, yeah, it looks like these are my two congruent shapes, so I can then take my, either one of them, doesn't matter which one I use but take the polygon tool, right, and trace over one of them. There it is. So they do, the blue shape and the white shape do look congruent. Don't forget, you guys can mess with this a little bit if you want. You could, change the blue one to whatever color you like. And it looks like this to me. It looks like another rotation here. So if I transform one of these shapes, it looks like a turn will get the job done. And I learned from my mistake last time. It looks like this point right here won't move, so that's going to be my center of rotation. That's my center of rotation. I'm going to apply the rotation to this green one, and actually in order for me to get it to go that way, I actually have to put in, if I just do 90, it's going to go the wrong way, but if I do it 3 times, look, it maps directly onto there. So you could do that. You could let it go 90 degrees and then map it 3 times and it'll land where you want it to. The other option would be you could just rotate it negative 90 degrees and it'll go up there in the first row. Whoops. If you rotate it negative 90 degrees, click on the shape, it'll only take one move, and boom, look at that. Either way, the fact that it maps directly onto the other one proves that these two figures or two halves are congruent. Next here, this one is also started for us, and I believe all we have to do is add a, all we have to do is go to our segment tool and add one segment in right here, and it pretty much will make our two congruent parts. So there it is. Now these two are pretty much congruent, and once again, this one looks like a rotation again. If I just, well, let me get my polygon tool. I'm going to highlight one of these polygons, and then I'm going to move it, right? I'm going to transform it to try and map it onto here. But look, it does look like a turn. If you take this bottom shape and turn it or rotate it, that looks like the way you can get it to map directly onto this, other shape. So I'm going to go to transform. It looks like a rotation, right? So I'm going to rotate it. The center of rotation, I think, may have been here, this dot, so I'm going to call that my center of rotation, and I actually want it to kind of rotate the other way, so I'm going to call it negative 90 degrees and apply it. Boom, there it is. So it rotates 90 degrees to the left and it maps directly on. And you guys gotta have this understanding. Once it maps directly onto the other shape, you know it's congruent. So over here you would say, you know, a 90-degree rotation, right? A 90-degree rotation, you know, maps 1/2 perfectly onto the other half, right? If they're perfectly congruent, right, same size, same shape, then it should land perfectly on there. You go to number 11. Number 11 is, you go to construct, go to your segment. I believe number 11, if you chop it from here to, no, that's not it. Oh yeah, so you see this original dot I clicked on? If you map, or if you draw a segment from this dot down to this dot, I believe, or no, this dot down here. I almost went there, that's not quite right. Down to this dot, this corner, I believe you have two congruent shapes. Use your polygon tool to outline one of them. Dang it, it's being a little pain. Maybe I'll do this one instead. Okay, so once I've highlighted one of them, it looks, again, it just looks like a rotation on this one, guys. I'm just going to rotate this one back, and my center of rotation is here. If you notice, this point, it's not going to move. If you rotate the shape around that point, it's the same corner for both figures. Anyhow, it's 90, so I'm going to rotate this blue thing 90, click on it, apply it, and boom, it lands perfectly, right? So a 90-degree rotation. So a lot of these ended up being rotations. Guys, chopping this thing in half here. We go to construct, segment, and chopping this thing in half, I believe it's a segment. It's either this, and that chops it directly in half, or I might have it wrong. It might be the other way. Let me see what I got. Yeah, anyhow, I'll let you guys be. Don't forget to, you know, trace over with the polygon tool to get the whole polygon kind of highlighted, and then, well, what would it take to map this one onto that? I'm gonna say, I think it's gonna take 2 movements. I think maybe a slide and a turn, something like that, you guys. A slide and a turn will map this. You could try it, but I'm going to let you be on that for now. There'll be one last thing to do, and I'm going to call this one good for now unless you have questions.